Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Ignorant Intellectual on Media. Today we're going to do our 20th episode of Father-Daughter 100 Top Movies of All Time Reviews. The 20th film on our list is Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, the Guy Ritchie film. Came out in 1998, if I remember correctly. It stars a bunch of British actors, but probably the only one that you'll recognize if you went to the theater or if you went and saw this film when it first came out. Probably wouldn't have known any of them, but the one that probably made the most mark on film, because he went to Hollywood afterwards, is Jason Statham. He stars in this film. Guy Ritchie actually picked him up off the street. He was basically doing the opening scene of this is him with his friends doing this sales pitch, selling stuff on the street, and that's what Jason Statham did in between acting jobs in London or wherever he was. And Guy Ritchie saw him and liked his style or whatever, and said, "Hey, why don't you come act in a movie with me?" And he ended up becoming famous internationally. He ends up doing all these action films like The Transporter or The Mechanic, and then he ends up going with Sylvester Stallone in all those Expendable films. So he did a whole bunch of action films after this, right? So, and this is what his start was. So basically, this is basically a criminal comedy where you get to see bumbling criminals throughout the whole film, and Guy Ritchie plays it to the hilt, because his script basically has people serendipitously moving and out of each other's lives criminally, you know what I mean? So it's like a really convoluted convoluted plot, but everything kind of works out in the end, right? And basically it's all about these two guns, these two ancient antique guns that this crime boss wants to get. So he tells his underling to go hire a couple of guys to go break into this rich man's house and steal them. And he said basically they had a mistake made, because they said whatever guns are in the cabinet you bring to us, anything else you guys can have. And so those two guns weren't in the cabinet, so they thought that they could sell them, so they sell them. But then, the boss says, "Hey, go get them for me, or you'll end up being dead." So then he has to go find those two guns from where he sold, and then these other guys, including Jason Statham, they end up putting together $100,000 to go play in a like an underground poker game or whatever the game is. I can't remember which game it was. It wasn't Texas Hold'em. It was some other game, and he ends up being cheated against and loses $100,000. And actually the boss who was playing actually broke him, and even lent him like a bunch of money as well. And then he ends up losing, so he ends up owing the boss a bunch of money. So now he goes back to his friends, and they got to figure out how to get this money to this boss, otherwise they're going to end up dead, or one of them is going to lose the bar that his father owns, right? So they come up with this scheme where the next door neighbor of one of the friends is a criminal himself, and he's going to go rob this place for like hundreds of thousands of dollars. And so what they do is they wait on him, and then they rob him, and using these two old guns to do it. And anyways, all hell breaks loose, and everything starts going left ways and sideways, and the bumblingness of it. And so they start out getting into serious trouble, and without any help of their own, just through stupid luck, they end up at the end of the film scot-free. You know what I mean? They end up free, and it's funny how they end up getting that way. And Guy Ritchie or whoever wrote the film must have, it takes a bit of intelligence to figure all that out, right? You know what I mean? So, and at the end, it's just those two guns that are left, and they say, "Hey, that's the two guns that are going to attach us to all these crimes that we're free of. You got to get rid of these guns, right?" And so he's going to go throw them in the river, and then they're looking through the auction house magazine that shows what's up for auction that these guns were going to be put on, and they're like, hundreds of thousands of dollars for these guns. And I go, oh, and so they're trying to call their friend, don't throw them in the river, don't throw them in the river. And, and does it end that way? Or, well, he lets go of them, but they kind of fall onto a ledge, and then he's leaning over the ledge to grab them, and then he gets the phone call, so he's kind of holding on to everything and trying to answer the phone and trying to grab the guns, and then it ends, and so you don't know exactly what happens, whether the guns end up in the river or they end up getting the guns back to sell for like 500 grand or whatever it was. All right, it's quite funny, and it's quite dumb in a way, but it's also quite inventive how he did everything, right? So, and if you can follow the the slang, there's a lot of slang in it. So I suggest you put the subtitles on, and every once in a while you get a word that you don't understand what it is, you just look it up quickly and move on. But if you don't want to pause it, it's not a big deal. You can watch it without understanding every little word. And it's definitely a top 100 film. And so is his second film, but I don't think Snatch is on here. Snatch is his other film that he did after this one, and it was amazing too. It's another kind of comedy gangster film, right? So what do you think of it?
Like my dad mentioned, if you're not like born or like live in the UK, you're not gonna understand some of the slang. So he had to like personally explain them to me, which was helpful. Made me understand the first part of the movie. But overall, I mean, as a business student or business graduate, the sales tactic in that movie, it was really smart, especially in the beginning where he had his friend basically convince the crowd saying that, oh, it's a good deal, give me more of them, this and that, and then the crowd got convinced and started buying more stuff. So that's a good sales tactic. The second one is when the other, I keep forgetting their names because there's a lot of guys in this movie, but it's when he was dealing this stereo or whatever, it was a gear, and to that fat guy.
Right, yeah.
And he was saying that, you know what, maybe I'll just keep it to myself. And then the guy got convinced that, you know what, no, let me buy it at this price. You'll get it if you watch the movie. But I just...
That was one of the funniest parts in the film.
Yeah, I really like the sales tactics in that movie. And that knife guy, that chef guy, something's wrong with him. Because he seemed innocent at the beginning. Then he started bringing out all these knives, all these ways to torture people. It was just like, whoa, where did that come from? And...
Oh, the chef, yeah.
Yeah, the chef.
One of the four friends is a chef in a restaurant, so he has like a whole plethora of
like a torture
instruments or whatever.
Yeah,
he basically uses for cooking. Right? So.
And the whole movie was basically like the blind leading the blind, because there's like these three groups, right? Like the first ones were the hustlers, the second one were the criminals, and the last ones were the gangsters, basically. And they all act like they know what they're doing, but they really don't. They're just trying to act tough. Because at the end of the movie, like they were all, I mean not all, but like the first group of guys, they had the guns to themselves that could have saved them all the trouble, but they didn't know. But yeah, overall it's funny. It's really funny.
Yeah, the two things that my daughter were talking about was when they were on the street and they were dealing this hot merchandise or whatever, Jason Statham is talking like a wizard salesman, like, you got to get it now, got to do it, and he's doing all these rhymes and everything, and then does anybody want thing, and they're kind of hesitant, and then some guy walks in out of the crowd, hey, that's a really good deal, because I was over at this place and it was costing this much, I'm going to buy one, I'm going to give me 3 of them or whatever, he's doing that, right? Meanwhile, he's like best friends with the guy that's selling the stuff, right? So it's all a setup. You get the same thing in New York with the, find the queen with the cards, and then somebody comes up and says, okay, and they choose it, and they win, and they choose it again, and they win, and then the next person who isn't the friend comes up and says, okay, I'm going to watch, and he looks and he loses, right? So it's a good way to sucker people in, right? But the funniest part of the whole film was what she mentioned, where the two guys were haggling over this stereo equipment or something, right? And it's like, it's a few £100 or whatever. It's like nothing for them, right? So, but they're like haggling, maybe I won't, yeah. maybe I won't. Maybe I won't get it. Okay, fine. I'm going to use it myself. Okay, well I'll get it, but can I get it for this? No, man, it's really good. And they're, arguing back and forth over like a small sum of money for this thing, right? And then finally he agrees to pay it, and then he pulls out this like wad of cash that's like this big, and he takes a couple off the top to give it to the guy, and the other guy pulls out another big wad of cash and takes those two little things and puts it in with all the hundreds of other bills that he has in his pocket, right? And you're going, what's the point? You know what I mean? It's like, what's the point? But that's, how they behaved, right? So what's the point? I mean, like, you have like 1,000 times more than what you just what you gave out, but you're haggling over a few pound or whatever, right? So it's it started the film in the proper manner that you knew it was going to be a funny film as well as a gangster type of film, right? So yeah, really good film. Let's see what's under the. Let's scratch it. All right, so the 20th film in it is Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels by Guy Ritchie. Let's see what's underneath. I bet you it's the guns, right? It's got to be the guns. Yeah, it is.
No.
Yeah, it's the rifles that.
Oh, then what are these dots?
The two smoking barrels, and the poker game or whatever.
Oh, wow, that's smart.
Yeah.
That's smart.
Hearts, diamonds, clubs, and spades that you get with the cards, right? So that's the 20th. So we've done 2 lines. We've now done 2 lines, and we've got another 8 lines to go. All right, so that's Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. What's up next? Oh, The Good, the Bad, and Ugly, the Sergio Leone film, considered by many as the greatest Western film of all time. It's obviously the greatest spaghetti Western, although some of other Leone stuff is pretty good too. So we'll do that film next. We'll watch that film next and review it. If you like the video, give us a thumbs up. If you want to, how about subscribe? And you'll get to see the next 80 videos. And we'll talk to you in the next one. Bye for now.
Bye.